I really wanted to like this one. So I just watched Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So here are my thoughts about it, my overall review. So let's get into it. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to let me know you enjoyed this content if you want to see more movie reviews from me. So the first Five Nights at Freddy's film, I was a fan of it, but not like a super fan. As someone who grew up with the Five Nights at Freddy's games, I was a little disappointed, even though these movies are made for the fans. But overall, the movie was just okay. Now with the second one, it was meant to be the improvement, the big improvement of the first one, where you get like actual solid arcs for the characters, more horror, less humor in certain scenes, and that was the big mission for the second film. Obviously a lot more of Matthew Lillard as the Yellow Rabbit. Did they improve it really? Yes and no. I think they improved a lot into the horror aspects of the film, where the first film had a couple of horror scenes and elements, but weren't really delving into those elements, especially as a horror film from Blumhouse. But this one incorporated a lot more of horror aspects, where a lot more jump scares, a lot more darker lighting, and a lot more sinister stuff around the pizzerias. With the humor, they also really improved on that. In the first film, there were a couple scenes where humor just really took me out of it. Where in the first film we had a whole scene of the animatronics building a fort at the pizzeria. But in the sequel, they toned it down a lot. And I appreciate it. And I think the humor that was in this film worked. Most of the times. Screen time for the actors, really. When the first one came out, everyone wanted to see a lot more of Matthew Lillard as the Yellow Rabbit, especially, back in the 80s, abducting kids at the pizzeria, just moving in his prime years as the Yellow Rabbit. And we really didn't get that. The only real scene we got of Matthew Lillard as the Yellow Rabbit was the opening. But this opening scene is basically showing in 1982 a little girl who's noticed the Yellow Rabbit doing something suspicious. She goes there to see what's going on, and we see a little bit of Matthew Lillard in the Yellow Rabbit suit and just doing his occasional stuff. That was pretty much it. The rest of the film, we really only got a couple like PTSD moments for Vanessa, a couple flashes of Matthew Lillard in Vanessa's dreams. So I wanted to see a lot more of that. Another actor that I really want to see more was Skid Ulrich. He plays a character named Henry, which is the father of the girl from the opening of the film, and I believe he is Henry Emily from the games, but still I wanted to see a lot more of him. He only got like a really short scene, like a 3-minute scene with Mike. Something that also really disappointed me was a bit of the arcs of these characters, because the character that needed like the biggest change in arc was Vanessa from the first film. She was the cop who was getting involved into the whole Freddy stuff, knowing that William Matthew was her father, knowing he abducted and killed all those kids, but she never really told Mike any of those things while they were happening. You'd think that she would learn from her mistakes, really, instead of just not telling anyone, but she doesn't. She does the exact same thing as she did in the first one, where she only tells them what's really going on when it's happening. So she doesn't really learn, in her arc isn't really fulfilled, But that also leads into the finale of the film, which I'm not gonna get into, but I'm currently making this video, but I forgot to mention a very key detail about this movie, that it includes an Avengers Endgame style portal scene at the end. I'm not gonna say what happens, but just keep that in mind. The movie just ended abruptly, like in the middle of nowhere, because you get the whole story, you get the setup of what's going on, you get the actual finale, it happens, and then it just ends. It leaves a cliffhanger for the third or fourth film, but then it just ends. Just right there and there. I was so confused when I was watching the film, but when you watch the film, you get what I'm talking about, especially at the end, because you get to the cliffhanger and then it just ends. So, yay, Five Nights at Freddy 3 in 2 years, yay. But the biggest positive that this movie has are the animatronics. Everyone knew this. They already look really great in the first one. In this movie, they just improve on those, especially with the toy animatronics and the withered ones, which are really cool. The only one we really got like a good bit of screen time was Chica, because of her sudden relationship with Abby, because I don't think it was ever indicated in the first film that Abby had a big relationship with Chica. So that just really came out of nowhere. But the rest of them, we really didn't get a lot of them, unfortunately. Even the other ones, we got a good bit of screen time with the marionette and how it overall works, with the whole possession thing and stuff. Balloon Boy was there only just for a minute before you know what happens. But I want to see a lot more of the animatronics in general. Even with the withered ones, we didn't really see them until the actual finale of the film. I was a little bit disappointed on that part, since these are really great animatronics. So, but overall, it was a fine film. I don't think it reaches a 5 even. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think it's good. Do I think the first one is better? Yeah. If I were to give it a grade of 1 to 10, I'll give it like a 3 or 4, to be honest. I don't think I'm I'm ever gonna rewatch this, but it was just okay. I didn't really care for it. The setup for this third film was okay, only with the post-credit scene. The overall plot made sense in the actual universe, essentially if you know the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. I just didn't care for it, to be honest. I just didn't care for it. I was there to find some good, upgrades from the first film, but I didn't really find that. I've only found mostly just downgrades from the first one. But oh well. It is what it is. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment below what you think of this, and what are your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'm George. Peace out. Take care.